Today's guest closed 41 contracts in 2 weeks, totaling nearly $2 million. Every single one of them came from referrals. Every one of them. And he's about to spill the beans on exactly how those referrals came about. It's a Don't Ask and You Won't Get episode 624 of the 13-year-old, award-winning Small Business Big Marketing podcast.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back to your weekly dose of, referral marketing, I guess. I'm your host, Timbo Reid, and I have an insatiable curiosity for uncovering marketing ideas that help businesses just like yours to grow. I do that through weekly in-depth conversations with successful business founders who have walked the path before us. You, infinitely more importantly, are a motivated business owner, ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in. I want to share a quick story with you that articulates why I do what I do. What I'm about to read you, it's not earth-shattering. It's not a story of some big brand that's turnover has gone from 10 million to 100 million with the flick of a switch. They don't exist, by the way. What I'd like to share with you is the inspiring story of listener Tristen Smith, who's landed on a business idea, rolled up her sleeves, and is making it happen. Now, I know many of you have done or are doing the same thing, and this alone I find inspiring, by the way. But what I also find inspiring is that Tracy was the very first member of my new membership. Within hours of it launching, Tracy signed up. So what, Timbo? I hear you say. The so what is in the fact that whilst Tracy hasn't got gazillions to spend on personal and business development, she absolutely sees the importance of it and is finding the time and resources to make it happen. This is a constant trait amongst so many of the bigger successful guests I have on this podcast. As a result of Tracy being my first, you know what I mean, I surprised her with a free coaching session, and this is what she sent me by way of background. Hey, Timbo, just a quick heads up about where I'm at and what I want to know. I started my business, The Good Yarn, an online weaving store, as a side hustle. I love a good side hustle. At the time, I was setting up email marketing campaigns for clients and writing marketing strategies for small businesses. But I wanted a side hustle to test my theories and ideas. Not the first time I've heard that. Stu Gregor from 4 Pillars did exactly that. Had a look at 4 Pillars Gin these days. Back to Tracy. I made the website live early, and after 6 months, I started to focus on sales. The first 12 months of focused trading, I turned over X dollars. I'm not going to say how much, confidentiality and all that stuff, but it's a good amount, more than you probably think. I'm on track to match it for my second 12-month period. I do everything myself. I built the website. I do my own SEO with the help of your interview with Harry Sanders. I've done all my own Facebook and Google ads. I've got a Facebook group with 1,100 members and an email database with over 6,500 active members. I reply to all my own customer inquiries. I manage my own stock, and my niece helps pack orders 6 hours a week. Love it. My problem is that now I'm stuck for ideas on how to keep the growth going. I'm not the world's best crafter, so I don't attend craft shows as I know many of my customers are experts in their fields, and I feel like I can't compete with their amazing knowledge. I reckon you probably could, Tracy, but that's a discussion for another time. I'm lucky to have an amazingly supportive supplier who answers all the curly questions, so my customers still get all the right answers to their technical questions. Brilliant. So you're building a great brand. The supplier loves you. That's what happens. I'm now ready to double sales at a minimum. My goal is to reach Y dollars turnover ASAP. Again, I won't reveal the amount. Confidentiality, all that stuff. By the way, Timbo, I also want you to know that your podcast has been an endless series of wow moments for me throughout this crazy journey. I love it. I even used to add it as suggested listening in the marketing strategies I wrote for others. Oh, Tracy, that is so beautiful. Thank you. Now, whilst I'd love you to join my membership, it starts from $8.50 a month and you can find all the details over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. My bigger message to you is in order for you and your business to prosper, no matter what its size, you need to seek support in the form of coaching, mentoring, maybe a mastermind group, attend industry events, join a chamber of commerce, or maybe join another marketer's membership. I don't care. Get support. You can't do it all yourself. That is my point. Do you agree? Tell me what you think by leaving a message on 0480 015 150. I'll get off my soapbox now. Let's go and meet today's special guest. All right, a big thank you to longtime virtual friend and marketing virtuoso David Frey for introducing me to today's guest, Tristen Smith. Now, as an aside, Tristen's one-page pitch document was so well constructed, I've done a review of it inside my membership. I get about 5 pitches a day from peeps wanting to be on this show, and Tristen's is, I'd say, in the top 5%. Anyway, that is not why we're here, but I just wanted to alert you to that fact. Now, have you ever met a business owner who's got more customers than they can handle, yet their marketing budget is minimal? Then, after you've picked your chin up off the ground, you discover that the majority of their new business is coming from good old-fashioned referrals. You know, happy customers who'll bend over backwards to introduce you to their friends and family. It's sort of marketing nirvana, right? Well, I'd love nothing more than for you to be that booming business. And to help you get there, please meet referral marketing ninja, Tristen Smith. Married with 6 kids and a lifetime entrepreneur, Tristen cut his referral marketing teeth selling solar energy systems. In his first month selling door-to-door, he closed 52 contracts worth $2 million with minimal industry experience. He finished his first quarter with 94 contracts worth $3.7 million. And how's this? In 2 record-setting weeks, he signed 41 contracts totaling $1.6 million. All 41 contracts came from customer referrals. Brilliant. Tristen's bottom line? In 5 years, he's had 300 residential systems installed, with 90% of his customers coming directly from past happy customers, referrals. But, as is often the case, life wasn't always easy for Tristen and his family, as he dealt with major anxiety and a litany of failed business ideas. Now, Tristen, going from broke and scared to sales success whilst dealing with major anxiety, describe that time of your life.
Yeah, so between the years 2002 and 2014, when I was in my early 20s to 30 years old, give or take, I've always been entrepreneurial, tried to start different businesses. I think I remember trying to start a mobile car detailing business and then a candy shop, and just, I can't even list all the things that I tried and just did not succeed. So in 2014, at that point, my wife and I had 5 children, all like 10 and under. And somehow we had survived, I don't know how, on like 30,000 per year on average up until that point. So our finances were in such a place in early 2014 that I was just, I mean, I'd been freaking out for a long time and not knowing what to do, but it just came to a head where I was like, something's got to change. Like, I need something this week. And I think at the time I had taken my first job, 9-to-5 job in years, because I'm just not a good employee, but I had to. But it was already driving me crazy. So I'm a praying man, and I was asking for a solution. So that Sunday, that 3 days later, I met a guy at church. We're in a fairly lower middle class, poor congregation at that point. But this guy came walking into church in this nice suit. He just emanated, something was different about him than I was ever used to seeing. And so I went to him and asked him what he was doing. I just knew I had to. And long story short there, he was just starting up a small office in Western Massachusetts, United States, to sell solar door to door. And putting together a sales team. And I was thinking about getting into sales more heavy. And so I went to the team meeting 2 days later, and I signed on. And, but my first, 2 days after the team meeting, I was out on the doors. It was basically, I shadowed him and another manager for like an hour each. And then they just said, okay, go figure it out.
Before you explain how you figured it out, there's a fair bit of ground to cover there. So between 2002 and 2014, you're trying all these businesses in a variety of different industries. Did any get traction, or was it just failure after failure after failure?
It was just failure after failure after failure.
What were you doing wrong, do you think? Can you reflect back, and were you're not a great employee, join that club. At this point, you're not necessarily proving to be a great entrepreneur, but there's a fire there. What were you getting wrong?
The golden opportunity syndrome. I was not identifying that one thing that I wanted to go in all in on and focus on. So every time I would hear about, make $1 million a year doing this, or make a ton of money doing that, I was, I was a rabbit chasing all these different things, and I wasn't catching anything, right? However that old proverb goes.
Do you reckon that's desperation because you've got 5 kids, or you're building a family, you've got very little income, you're saying 30 grand a year? Was it literally like, look, I'm going to try the confectionery shop. If that doesn't work in 6 months, I'm going to go and do the car detailing. And it was just like bright, shiny object and not really leaning into any of them?
Yeah, for sure. And it was that. And then also being lured. I had a bunch of friends that were into network marketing, multi-level marketing. So they were trying to recruit me into their opportunities. So I said, okay, well, I'll try to do this car detailing while I'm also trying to do that. And then got more familiar with possible internet marketing opportunities and just all over the place. So
was there one of those ideas, Tristen, along the way that you genuinely just loved but couldn't make it work? Or were they all just like dead end streets?
Yeah, I mean, some of the network marketing opportunities, some of the products I actually did believe in and love that concept of these individuals who are just doing so well in network marketing, and but I'm a good salesperson, but I'm not a good recruiter. And we all know that those kind of businesses, I think we all know that those kind of businesses, you got to be a good recruiter. And that's not me.
I've done a couple of episodes on network marketing, and years ago, I was involved in send out cards and did pretty well out of it. My learning on network marketing is twofold. One is you've got to believe 110% in your product. You can't be doing it because you want to build, a pyramid under you. Shouldn't use that word because it's not pyramid marketing, is it? And you need to believe 110% in your product, and you really need to be willing to openly talk to family and friends about it, and that's hard. It's sort of anyway. We're not here to talk about that, but it's interesting that that's one of the paths you went down. If you get it right, it can be fantastic. Okay. So you meet this fellow who's starting a solar business office in your local area. You go to his meeting. 2 days later, he's told you all he can, and you're left to hang out to dry or fly, one of the two. Now, these stats are incredible. First month selling solar, door to door, you close 52 contracts worth $2 million. You finish the first quarter with 94 contracts worth $3.7 million. What lever did you pull?
Well, let me just tell you, my first day out there on the doors, I gotta tell you this. It was horrible. I got in. The second door I knocked, I still vividly remember it to this day. I actually got into the guy's house, and he let me sit down at his kitchen table, and I flopped my way through the presentation, completely just destroying it. And he was very polite. At the end of 45 minutes, he said, "Yeah, no, I'm not interested." So I leave his house, and I'm an emotional wreck. I'm just like, here I go again. I can't do this. I can't do this. So I went home, dropped on my bed, and started bawling. I mean, it was rough. My wife comes in and says, "What's going on? What's wrong?" I explained it to her, and she just, being a good supportive wife, said, "What else are you going to do? There's nothing else. You got your friends now that are making good money and doing this. There's nothing else." So I said, "Yeah, you're right." So I went out the next day, and the lever that I pulled was my manager gave me some of the best advice that I tell people to this day. He said, knock your first 100 doors as fast as possible, have your first 100 conversations as fast as possible, make your first 100 sales as fast as possible. So it wasn't easy. It was still just every day racked with anxiety. Oh, I got to go do this again. I got to do this again. But I stuck to that simple, quantifiable goal and just pushed, and no one else on the team was doing that. I mean, that was my goal. I thought everyone else was doing that. So I just said, okay, well, I got to join the club and do what these guys are doing and go have my first 100 conversations as fast as possible. So that weekend after...
What was that about, Tristen, in terms of, was that just say, listen, swallow the medicine real quick. It's probably not as bad as you think it is, but in order to realize that yourself, you got to knock on 100 doors. You got to hear the no's. You've got to feel the nerves. You got to feel the fear and do it anyway, as that famous book says. Is that what that 100 was about?
Yeah, 100, 100%.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. And it reminds me of the book, Just Go for No. I did not read that book at that time. That the concept there is just don't go for yes, go for no. Like get as many no's as fast as possible. I hadn't read it at that time, but I realize now that that's what I was doing. I was just like, it was just have my first 100 doors, 100 conversations. That was my objective. And so out of doing that and swallowing that medicine, because you hit the nail on the head, that's what it was about. There's no way in any kind of sales, in my opinion, some harder than others, but especially door to door, there's no other way than to swallow that medicine by going out and doing it. So my second and third day out, I made 5 sales. Those were, and I beat that in those 2 days. I had beat the rest of the sales team. No one had that many sales the rest of the previous several days. And so what I did was I just kept repeating 100 doors, 100 conversation, 100 sales. Every time I would hit that, I would just do it again.
And Tristen, when you walked after finishing at a door and either getting a yes or a no, would you then walk back down the path and before you walked into that next house, do a quick reflection of what did I get right, what did I get wrong, and alter your pitch ever so slightly each time so that by 100, you're at the pointy end?
Yeah. I did, but I did it unconsciously. I was not a skilled enough salesperson to even know that I should have done that. It was just, I'm just going to the next door. But because I remembered the tonality that worked and the words I used just in the back of my mind, I think unconsciously I was refining my approach.
It's amazing how we do that. One of the things I do is keynote speak at conferences around the topic of marketing for small business. And I've got one particular keynote that I've probably delivered 500 times. And, some people go, don't you get sick of that? And it's like, well, no, I don't, because A, the information I love imparting, and B, every time I'm honing it, I'm sharpening it, I'm finding a different way to come in at either a point that I want to make or a little gag that I want to share or whatever it may be. So, yeah, you don't necessarily know you're doing it. Just on those, I am fascinated by this first 100. Can you reflect on a funny story or a scary story or a weird story in that first 100?
Yeah. Let's see. I pretty much stuck in around the same neighborhood. There was this old neighborhood in Springfield, Massachusetts. And funny story. The funniest part is just the rejection. I got plenty of rejection. It wasn't like I was getting it in every door, and I just realized how quick. Number one, I realized how quickly actually that most people are actually kind people. I only met 1 or 2 individuals that just were like,
"Get off my property."
Yeah, you have some kind of issues because all your neighbors are polite. But some of them, there's only 1 or 2 very mean individuals. And so that was encouraging, because we think that we're going to go into any kind of sales environment and everyone's going to reject us very meanly and be unkind. But thankfully we live in a world with mostly at least polite human beings. But I do, in that first 100, I think it was my 3rd week that the rest of the sales team was having a down week. I think by our Friday sales meeting, I think most of the other guys had sold between 1 and 3 contracts, and I believe I was already at 15 at that point. Where I thought they were all doing what I was doing. I just thought the whole team was doing exactly what I was doing, and so that's the mindset with which I kept just selling. And but I learned there very quickly. Oh, I can either take my foot off the gas here and come down to status quo, or I can just keep doing what I'm doing and just obliterate the rest of the sales team in friendly competition, right? So that's what I continued to do, because I was tempted to be like, well, shoot, I could work less hours and get as many sales as these guys, still do fairly well. But so that's not why I came into this.
It's interesting, those environments, isn't it? Because you can either be pulled down to the lowest common denominator, or you can take the role of, no, grab onto my shirt tails, boys and girls, come with me, because I'm doing something right. And you got to walk that line of arrogance. But hey, we're all there to succeed. So this success that you had, this really early success, 3.7 million, 94 contracts in the first quarter. It's not just about knocking on doors. What else was going on in order for you to close the deals? And of course, we're here to talk about referrals. So what else was going on?
So a couple things. It was 2 weeks after I started that I went to a regional meeting, and that's the first time that I had heard about customer referrals. And we had a regional manager who was so busy with customer referrals that he didn't even have time to knock doors, and he actually enjoyed knocking doors, unlike me. And so that's the first time I heard about it. But I went away from that meeting feeling like, it just seems too good to be true, and just the numbers he was sharing. But it was within about a week or two where the anxiety was really coming to a head. I was burning out pretty fast trying to keep up the pace I was going, working 60 plus hours a week out, and it was getting warmer at that point. We're talking April, May in Human, Massachusetts. And I was losing weight like crazy and all that stuff, but not in a healthy way. So I said to myself, I have to take what he's doing to generate referrals and start doing that. But before we even jump into referrals, the other thing that was going on was I learned how to stick in one neighborhood for long enough. And I always wore the same color shirt every day, so that as I walked these streets day in and day out, people looking out their windows, the individuals that said, no, I'm not interested right now, they'd see me every day. I'd wave to them when they were out in the yards. I made friends with everybody in the neighborhood, whether or not they said yes initially. So that helped. They came to know, I was always in a bright orange shirt. And so they knew that, Tristen's here again, and he doesn't seem to be bothering anyone, so we won't call the cops on him. I don't know how that didn't happen.
Isn't it funny, those little subtleties, like just being there on a consistent basis, just wearing the same clothes, wearing a bright coloured shirt as opposed to a navy or a black shirt, and sort of standing out. These are little subtle things that, individually, not that interesting, but add them up, and you're all of a sudden getting this multiplier effect where 1 and 1 sort of equals 11.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd always have other salespeople asking me, Tristen, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I would tell them those little subtle things, and they wouldn't.
Orange shirt, mate.
That's fine. Yeah, orange shirt. But you guys think you're in a fashion show walking down, a runway, and you think you got to change your shirt every day. So those little things definitely added up. So.
Okay, so you learn about referrals, though. You've got these beautiful little subtle touch points happening for you, which we all should do. Then you meet a guy who's just smashing it with referrals and can't keep up. What did he teach you?
He specifically taught me how to leverage Facebook without buying ads. We're not talking about buying ads and stuff, and there's some secret sauce in there that people will learn about in my Facebook group and stuff. But how to leverage Facebook specifically without buying ads. And that was mainly what he taught, and it wasn't anything else. So, I mean, I built on what he gave me, obviously, but.
How is that referral marketing? Because, two things. First of all, don't referrals just come from doing a great job? I say naively and slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I'd like you to respond to that. And secondly, I wasn't expecting up front a Facebook strategy to generate referrals? Because I thought referrals came from people that you knew and had done work for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So on the first point that you said, there's a common misconception among salespeople and business owners that if you just do a great enough job, that your happy customers or clients will get on their phone and start texting and calling all of their friends and family and telling them about you.
Because they care about you so much.
They care about you so much. And the thing I realize is actually, if you treat your customers and clients well enough, they actually do care about helping you succeed, but they will not just start telling their friends and family about it. So we'll maybe touch on in a little bit, but about how to ask correctly and how often to ask and things like that. So just to get that myth right out of the way, though, you have to ask for it. I've met some stellar salespeople and business owners that treat their customers like friends and treat them very well, but they're still not generating referrals because they assumed it would just start flowing in. And it's just, that's like saying that I'm not going to pick up the phone and make sales or send messages or knock on doors and sales are just going to come to me. It's the same thing. It's not going to happen.
It's flawed. It's like, yeah, I mean, so many parts of marketing are like that, where the expectation, you run an ad and you think the phone's going to ring. I will run that ad and the phone will ring. No, maybe if you run that ad multiple times and generate some consistency and frequency, the phone might ring, but there's a whole lot of other things you've got to get right. So, okay.
Yeah, for sure. Touching on the Facebook aspect, to be more specific, it's all about how do I get my customers to confidently and comfortably post on Facebook on my behalf and make of them my referral partners in a very easy way and duplicatable way that I can just tell them exactly what to do. And they do all the work on Facebook for me. So there's very specific steps to that method. But that's specifically what I'm talking about. It's not about me going and posting on my own behalf. It's I'm going to get my customers to do that work for me on their personal social media profiles.
Give away as much secret sauce as you want to. You get that if you do, people will buy into you and want more. But I'll leave that to you as to how far you go. Can we role play this very, very briefly? You've just installed my solar. I love it. I loved your service. I loved everything about what you did. And I've paid you. And from my point of view, you're now out of my life, and I can get on with it. You want me to refer you business via Facebook. What are you going to do?
Yep. So this is assuming that you like me, that we've become friends, right? Because I want to
friends on Facebook.
Friends on Facebook, yes, but that I've actually made. We're friends. Real friends. You trust me and like me as friends. Yes, I made friends of my customers. I tell people customers don't refer you to their friends. Friends refer you to their friends. So basically what I would do with you, Tim, is say, hey, your solar was just installed. You've been happy, and I know you've been happy because I've talked to you several times. I've seen you, around as I've been in the neighborhood. I stay in contact with you. I didn't just close the contract and never talk to you again. So just like any good friend would do, I've checked up with you, seen you have any questions during the process, and so on and so forth. And this can apply to any business or service. It's, I know we're talking solar here, but it applies to anything, to stand out and be different by actually caring about your customers. So with that all said, what I'm going to do is, hey, Tim, how did everything go with your solar install? Any questions or concerns? So I'm gonna take care of those first. Was there anything with the install crew or whatnot? Assuming you're happy, or I've resolved any concerns maybe that popped up, I say, hey Tim, remember when I first met you and those first couple times we talked? I talked about how most of my business comes from referrals, and you thought of some friends and family to refer me to even prior to this. Well, it would be very helpful. I took a picture of your install of your solar system. If I text you the picture of your solar system, can you go onto your Facebook profile, and I'll even tell you what to say if you want, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Hey, I had an awesome experience with Tristen Smith. Please make sure you tag me in the post. That's key. Here's post a picture of your solar system with a testimonial about me. Make sure I'm tagged in that post, and then just let it fly. Let's see what kind of engagement we get from your friends and family on the Facebook list.
Okay. Theoretically, Tristen, sounds genius. Step by step, you're doing half the work, all of the work, except posting on their Facebook if they want you to. However, it feels complicated to maybe the average homeowner who's having solar installed that may be 40 plus, 50 plus. You're asking them to post to Facebook, to write some copy, to tag you. How do you do that? There's a lot of sort of techie stuff in there. Am I being an old fuddy-duddy here and not realising that everyone now knows how to do that? Or is there only a percentage of people who will do that?
No, I found actually the complete opposite. I think my favorite individuals to post on Facebook were 40, 50, 60 plus years old. They're more trusted among their friends and family. They actually do have a Facebook. Yes, there was, I remember the first customer that had a solar system installed in June 2014 that I sold. She at the time was maybe 55 or 60. She had a Facebook account, but rarely ever posted. And when she did it, maybe it was a picture of cats or something. I don't know.
Falling off ladders.
Yeah. But I said, hey, Linda, I'm going to give you exactly what to post. Here's a picture. Just copy and paste. That's all I need you to do. Sometimes they wouldn't know how to tag me. So I'd have to show them how to tag me. Maybe I'd send them a little quick video off my iPhone or screen share showing them how to tag me. But I said that's crucial, so make sure you tag me. So there were sometimes, depending on the individual and how tech savvy they were, maybe little points where I had to figure out, okay, I got to tell them how to do this. But the point is that I told them how to do it. I'd give them the little, if they wanted the sentences to post on there and all that. So I made it as easy as possible on my customer to where they were like,
what was the call to action, Tristen, in that? Was it like, hey, if you also want to, because this is coming from a member of the public, of a customer of yours. Yes. Do they say, hey, if you want Tristen to come and install solar at your place, leave a comment below? That sounds a bit kind of marketing to me.
No,
what was the call to action?
Yeah, no, great question. It was, I'd have them post, if you're curious to see if your home would qualify for solar, just comment below, and Tristen will send you a direct Facebook message. Tristen will connect with you, or if you'd like, I can introduce you to Tristen. So it was just, if you have any friends or family that are curious to see if they would qualify or if this product or service is a good fit for them, comment below, and Tristen will reach out to you.
So is this your primary tactic? Because on the website, and I'll put a link in the show notes to Tristen's website, you say your sales multiplier, which you teach now in terms of getting referrals, repeatedly turns one customer into 7+ higher paying customers. Is this, I'm sure there's probably other things that you do as well to generate quality referrals, but is this this underpins it?
I think it's a twofold underpinning. The other underpinning is just simply asking, knowing how to ask, how often to ask, because unfortunately, I did not keep track of the numbers in terms of this is how many of my solar installs came from the Facebook social media posts of my customers, and this is how much came from asking. But as I look back, it was definitely the twofold aspect of asking correctly, and also this social media aspect we're talking about. And there was other things. I would use direct mail, just simple postcards into my customers' mailboxes every month, just as a little, not asking for referrals, just, hey, happy St. Patrick's Day or whatever holiday it was, or their birthday. I was constantly making, yep. Just for the principle of making consistent deposits into the relationship bank account that I had with them.
Yeah, well, it's the old Stephen Covey, isn't it? The emotional bank account. Got to make a lot of deposits before you can ask for a sale. So the letterbox stuff, you were doing that via like a send out cards type setup, or you were manually actually just writing cards and heading back into the neighborhood?
Yeah, no, it was via something like send out cards, automated system. Made it, to where it was just I put their name and info in a database, and it was very hands off, outsource.
I think it's an absolutely fantastic idea. The whole, when, what do they say? When everyone else is shouting, whisper. So everyone's shouting online. The idea of putting something in someone's letterbox is sort of whispering, because it's a bit quieter there these days. People argue that it's junk mail, but personalised mail, it's not. So you've got the, what's the correct way to ask for a referral in front of someone?
Yeah, so I'd like to preface this with how not to ask. You do not ask, who do you know that might be interested in my product or service? It's a completely backwards.
Let me just cross that one out, because I had it written down.
So what I would ask, and again, you can apply this to whatever product or service you offer, but I would say, who is one or two of your closest friends or family that owns a home and you think might be interested to see if they qualify for solar? So there's a couple things there on purpose. One, I'm just asking for one or two. I'm not asking you for a list of 5, 10, 20 of your friends or family. That's overwhelming for anybody. And that's why when people think you're asking for that, their brain just shuts off and it's as though they don't know anybody. So I had someone ask me, how do you ask so that people just say, oh, I don't know anybody? Well, it's because the way you ask that their brain literally shut down. You put them into like survival flight mode where they started freaking out because they thought you were going to go and just hard sell all their friends and family. So one or two, that just a small number of your closest friends or family, those best friends and family members that you will tell about that great restaurant you went to, that movie you love, that you're going to just naturally share things with anyway. Like I'm going to tell my parents, I'm going to tell my best friend about things that I really enjoy. And then maybe a couple other loose friends, you know what I mean? So that's important. And then just who would be, just that they'd be curious. I'm not asking you, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, to tell me if you know they would be interested. I'm not asking that. That's not your job to find out.
Are you asking them to, what happens then? Give me their cell phone number, give me their address. Of course, that's not going to happen. Do you then ask them to do an email intro that CCs you? How does this then work? Because, I don't know, clearly it works. And so please don't think I'm being cynical. I'm just trying to understand. These blockages pop up in this stuff because clearly referral marketing is probably something. I haven't done a lot of referral marketing. I haven't needed to, but you're asking them to do a lot of stuff.
And I can see how it would be that way. But number one, I did learn, again, if I'm asking friends, people that like and trust me and know that I'm going to treat their friends and family like I treated them, it really, human beings, you flip a switch in them where they do want to help you. They might not care so much about the company you represent. If it's at that time, I was working for a pretty big solar company. They don't care about helping the company. They care about helping you. You're local. You've shown them pictures of your wife and children. You've found rapport with them and all that stuff. So anyway, little tangent there, but those are important prefaces to all this.
People buy from people, man.
Yep, for sure. And people refer to people to other people. So what I would do was, if they said, they gave me, I would share this, I would be happy to share this with my parents or my best friend or whatever. I would then make it a time-bound thing where I would say, okay, would you be willing to shoot them a text message before the next milestone and whatever the process is? So for me in solar, after they signed on the contract, the next step was to get their house analyzed to make sure it was a good fit for solar. So I would say, can you send them a text message? And I'll give you the text to send that just says, hey, thought you might be curious to see if this is a fit for you. Tristen's been awesome. Not a hard closer. He'll treat you good. But if are you curious to see if your home would qualify? And I would ask my customers, can you please do that before your site analysis, which typically would happen within a day or two, maybe as much as 3 or 4 days. But I wanted some urgency there. So it was very specific for them. And then I would tell them, if your friends or family say, yeah, I would like to find out, I would tell them, okay, at that point, put them in a group text message with me. Just tell me that they're curious to see if they would qualify, and I will take it from there. And then I would start a separate text message with them. So the very specific, get their brain to target 1 or 2 individuals, make it time bound, and then tell them to make sure they introduce you, and then you'll take it from there, and everyone's happy.
Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
So you've got your Facebook. You're getting clients to post to their Facebook. You are having face-to-face conversations with clients saying, "Hey, could you text a couple, 1 to 2 that you know, and put some urgency around it with a deadline." Before we move on, any other sort of little or big tricks to generating referrals? Because I want to ask you about quality versus quantity and a couple of other things as well.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to jump on. Those are like the main 3 things in terms of tools, in terms of how to generate referrals. What
was the third?
more,
Facebook, face-to-face asking, and
the direct mail, the
direct mail.
postcards. Yep, the direct mail.
And the direct mail is simply Happy St. Patrick's Day, Happy Birthday, Happy Merry Christmas. Is there an ask in there?
Every 3 to 4 months, I would just give a little reminder. Hey, I remember bread and butter is referrals. You know, you've sent me other friends and family. They're happy. You're happy. I'm always open to more. Do you have, just think about 1 or 2 more individuals. So I would only ask for just, 1 or 2, something easy and that they could digest. So maybe every 3 to 4 months in terms of on the postcard themselves. But then that's the thing too. The other big part of asking correctly in terms of calling them, I would call my customers every 2 to 3 months just to see how they were doing. There was zero objective on my part. It wasn't to try to get referrals or anything. I was genuinely calling them to see how they were doing. If I was too busy at the time, they would know who maybe a friend or family member that I had assisted me at the time to do customer reach out. I would already have introduced them to my assistant at the time, and just tell them that they might hear from my assistant every few months just to make sure. So there's those little touch points, right? But then even identifying those parts in their process, whatever you're selling, that 3 months down the road. So for me, it was when they got their first lower electric bill, I would reach out to them again and say, hey, is there 1 or 2 individuals that would love to see your lower electric bill, and that you can send them a text with a picture of your electric bill? Can you throw that back up on Facebook? I'll give you the text to use and all that stuff. So there's different milestones at which you can ask, because that's one of the other keys is if people are asking for referrals, which very many don't, then they're missing out on all that they're leaving on the table if they don't identify key milestones in the customer's journey with them, or just regular touch points to ask for referrals each time in a way that they don't think you're being a pain, and they don't feel like that's all you're worth to them is, oh, every time Tristen calls me, he's just asking for referrals. He's not being genuine and authentic in his care. He doesn't actually care for me.
I think there is a massive learning here, Tristen. Massive learnings all through this conversation, but I reckon I could count on one hand over the course of my life businesses who have followed me up post-purchase. And I'll put aside all the millions of little purchases I've made, but let's talk about a car. We've just had a new studio built in our home. Big licks of dough, big licks of money that you spend, no follow-up. How's it going? How's the build? You like it? How's the car? Going all right? Not hard. It'd be a lovely thing to do. And as I'm sure you've experienced, there's going to be something else. I mean, if let's say you're an electrician and you do that, the opportunity to get the next job from that person is probably pretty high if you follow up. You're not looking for a next job because you can only install one solar system per home, but what you're looking for is referrals. And it is amazing. Sometimes marketing is not complicated, good marketing.
And I would look at my customers, I would not look at them as one sale. We often hear in the industry or in business the lifetime customer value, right, of a specific customer. But I would think of them as their lifetime referral value. That's how I always thought of individuals. It wasn't about them. I knew that if I treated this individual right, I could turn them into multiple generational referrals. They refer me to 3, maybe the next one only refers me to 1, but that one refers me to 5. I would just think of them as my child that is going to have little children, and I gotta get in front of those people.
And that requires some maturity because very sales is seductive in the short term. Where's the next hit coming from? Where's that next dopamine hit coming from? That next contract, that next yes. Generationally, you're thinking.
Yeah,
amazing.
For sure. Because one of the things that for me, referrals. How do I say this? When I would go out there and knock doors and have a great day or a great week or a great month, it was exhilarating, 100% exhilarating. There's very few things like that ability to go out and generate a new customer and to get people signed up. However, the referrals for anyone I know it's like life-giving. You're going into a home where people are home or phone call, however you're interacting with your prospects, of an individual who already likes and trusts you and is excited to talk to you instead of, oh, yeah, I guess I'll let you in. I guess I'll go through this phone call with you or whatever. It's energy giving. And so not only are you saving like a third of the time that you would spend prospecting for new customers, but you're literally getting more life back. I told you in the beginning that I was out there grinding on the doors. I lost 50 pounds in the first 4 to 5 months, sweating it all off, just burning out. And I know that's not every individual's experience. That had a lot to do with the anxiety I was dealing with and stuff. But regardless of how much you love it or don't like the prospecting aspect, you just get more life and time and reputation. It lends to all those things.
It feeds itself. Just as the negative feeds itself, the positive feeds itself as well. Tristen, quantity versus quality. So how do you manage that? One of the things that I say about marketing, people think marketing is all about generating more inquiry, more interest, more awareness in your business. It's also very good at polarizing and saying, hey, listen, I want to deal with this group of people. If you're not in it, I'm probably not for you. How did you manage to get quality referrals and not just quantity?
Yeah, so I learned early on that a lot of salespeople, business owners, when it comes to just quantity, I'd have individuals, other salespeople ask me all the time, how are you selling so many doors? I said, because the moment I know that individual is not interested in my product or service, I move on. I do not try to prove how good of a salesperson I am by trying to overcome. I'll go against the grain. And there's you should not move on from that door or that phone call or whatever before you get 3 no's. I was like, if it was one hard no, I was on to the next door. So I said, I hit more doors than you do because you're trying to prove your worth in terms of, how good of a salesperson you are. So that principle I took and applied to referrals. I'd have individuals, other salespeople all the time coming and saying, I just got a list of 20 referrals. A customer just gave me a list of names and numbers. I said, guess what? You don't have any referrals at all because they gave you a list. They did not introduce you to their friends and family. They did not warn them that you're going to be reaching out. You're going to irritate all of those people and ostracize them. And it'll be a miracle if you even make one sale from that list. So I teach other salespeople and business owners that a top quality referral is an individual who your customer has introduced you to. Bottom line, they've introduced you to them. Someone that's expressed interest. An okay quality referral is someone.
Can I just challenge you on that to say that that's a warm referral, what we would call low hanging fruit, because you are known to them via a friend of theirs. It doesn't make them a quality customer. It doesn't make them necessarily. It's just a warm referral. It's someone who's probably going to take your call. They might not need solar. They might not need a lot of solar. They might be hard work to deal with. So that's what I'm talking about regarding quality. Is there any filter you can apply to that, or you just got to go, listen, it's a warm referral. I'll take it from there.
Yeah. It's a warm referral. I'll take it from there. However, I was not interested in going and traveling to their home or getting on a long sales presentation phone call with them or on a Zoom or however I was selling at the time, without doing some qualifications first. I'd find out, in terms of solar, how high their electric bill was, what was the sun exposure like on their house. So there was definitely some pre-qualifications there. And like any product or service that people sell, you still want to go through those pre-qualification questions through a text message or a quick phone call. And if they're not a good fit right away, then you just filter those individuals out. But as long as you get at least enough to say, okay, this is a door. If I was in the neighborhood, I would knock on this door of this person, or, whatever your criteria is, that you would actually go and make a phone call and try to close that customer, then, the same principles apply.
Tristen, do you thank referrers beyond a verbal, hey, really appreciate that?
Yeah. So what I would do, great question. What I would do when I was in people's homes or on the phone with them and I built rapport with them, I found out about some of their hobbies, what sports teams they like. I would just look around their home to see what they enjoy, right? What resonates with them. And what I would do I would try to avoid as much as possible incentivizing people with cash, because that can create a transactional relationship. Whereas the social norm is people love gifts. And so in Massachusetts, tons of Red Sox and Patriots fans, so it was kind of easy there. So if they referred me to, and one of their friends or family end up getting solar installed, I would send them, some Red Sox memorabilia. So for some of my best referrers, I would send them to a sports game, a Red Sox game or something. They knew I appreciated them. However, sometimes there are instances where maybe your competition is offering cash incentives for referrals, and it's hard to get around that, in which case you just match whatever the current offer is. But I did learn that when cash was involved, I tested it out between offering people $100 for a referral and $1,000 for an installed referrer, and it did not make one lick of difference in terms of how many referrers I got. I got just as many offering $100 versus, actually, I feel like the higher I got was lower. I don't know why. I don't know the mechanics in the brain behind that. But a lot of times you'll see these individuals, I got incentivized with a higher dollar amount. That's just not true.
You're just back to on the thanking bit. You are thanking someone verbally, of course, if they give you 2 or 3 warm introductions to family and friends. That's not a gift. That's just a verbal thank you. Does the gift come when that referral converts into a paying customer, and do you then decide at what level if it's just a small install, you get a pair of red socks, based on is that baseball or gridiron? I don't even know.
Baseball. Yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, so up to tickets. So it's based on the amount they spend, right? Because it just feels like a pair of socks. I suppose it's nice. I was going to say it's a bit of a kick in the face, but you know what I mean. I say that respectfully.
I mean, I actually tried to not discriminate. I mean, I would not send in terms of who maybe I would get a sports ticket for. I mean, if over the last 6 months they referred me to 5 to 10 individuals that had a solar system installed, 100%. But in terms of just thank you, even just for one, a thank you gift, it was probably at least worth $100 or $2. The gifts I was given, because it was, I'm either going to spend my money on that and showing my customers that I really appreciate them, or I'm not going to get referrals and I'm going to be desperate, so I'm going to go do some paid advertising and start buying leads and all that stuff, and not knocking those things, but I'd rather use my money to properly show my appreciation to my customers.
So in 5 years of doing this, you did 300 plus residential solar systems installed, with 90% coming from customer referrals. What percentage of your marketing time was spent on referrals and generating that outcome versus paid advertising elsewhere?
Yeah, so I can't speak too much to paid advertising because I never did it. All I can reference it to is how much time I spent previous to that knocking doors. And so just for a case in point, it was 2015 that I was on a team of about 12 to 15 other solar salespeople, and all of them spent 50 to 60 hours knocking on doors to generate that year. I think the top salesperson out of all those individuals knocking doors maybe installed about 35 solar systems. I worked a good 10 to 15 hours a week working with referrals, and that year I doubled their installations. I installed 72 solar systems. So I outperformed them and worked, a third of the time.
How fantastic. Good set of numbers.
That's what I meant about life giving, and the time saved, and the time to do what you want with who you want is what I had to figure out quickly if I was going to succeed in sales instead of, working 50, 60 hours a week.
Tristen, you've got a coaching program now over at customersalesmultiplier.com, and you are spending your time, you've left the solar industry. You're spending time helping small business owners doing what you've just described. Are you having success? And if you are, who's the typical customer in your coaching program that it really works for?
Yeah, great question. It's as fundamental as the individual that takes action. Of course, there's always going to be those clients or two that think that you're just going to give them a magic bullet that requires zero time output, even though in my coaching program, it's very minimum in terms of the time that's spent doing this compared to whatever else you're doing, the time and money you're spending to get your customers currently. And so those individuals that I wish there was some magic way to say it, but are coachable and take the action and do it. And yeah, I mean, that's like anything. That's the individuals,
My listeners, been doing this show for 13 years, and I often talk about action, being an action taker, because I get a lot of emails from listeners who say, Timbo, love the podcast. I've got I've got 2 journals full of ideas that have come from episodes. And I'm going, my response is, I hope you've actioned at least one of them, because a book full of ideas is a book full of ideas. An actionable idea can be potentially the difference between success and failure. And again, not hard. If you trust the program, people are buying in and becoming a client of your program, then you've really just got to go, hey, okay, whatever you say, Tristen, let's just do it. I'm here to learn.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that applies to so much of marketing.
100%. And we go deep on one action point at a time. Instead of going wide on, do this, this, and this. It's, no, you're going to get really good at this, and then we'll move on to maybe the direct mail piece or this piece or that piece. It's all about taking action on that one thing. So I love the principle of do, then no. Just do the thing and then figure out the rest as you go along. Don't try to figure it all out, because one of those things that kept me in a state of not being successful in entrepreneurial ventures before I got into solar was that paralysis by analysis. I would analyze everything, and I would have been the guy that, Tim, I have notes and pages of notes from what you've, and I'm so exhilarated by it. But I'm not. But I'm not. It's not putting money in my bank account.
Yeah. Well, I guess going back to action, you're the fellow who walked into church on that day, who was starting a solar office close to you, giving you the advice of 100 doors, brother. Just knock on 100 doors. That's action. That's action right there. Action creates reaction.
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting that the more we developed our training programs, the less magnificent or stellar salespeople we had. The more that we developed those, I would always tell people, I wish we could get rid of all these training manuals and videos and just tell people go figure it out. because we're paralyzing them with all this information. And so I think one of the main things too, one of the key elements was so many individuals, business owners, salespeople will set a goal for how much new business they want to bring in this week or how many new sales they want to bring in. And they set goals around that, but they do not set a goal for how many referrals they're going to ask for that week. And so I tell my clients, I want you to apply the principle of MDA, minimum daily asks. If you want to generate 10 referrals this week, then you're going to ask for 2 referrals a day of your existing customers, five days in a row. You'll hit your goal of asking for 10 referrals this week. And I don't know what I'm talking about if you don't get at least 3 quality, ready, hot customer or prospects out of that, referrals out of that.
Well, Tristen, I was going to leave this interview with the question, what can listeners do right now to get on this referral gravy train? But you've answered that question beautifully, so thank you for that. customersalesmultiplier.com/Timbo. I'll put a link in the show notes. Tristen's very kindly set up a fantastic page with a bit of small business, big marketing branding on it too. So I really appreciate that, Tristen. But he covers exactly what you would do if you were being coached by Tristen in the space of referrals and what you can expect to get as a result of it. Man, loved it. Loved chatting to you. What a beautifully simple, effective, tried and tested referral process. Thank you so much.
Yes, my pleasure, Tim. Thank you.
Well, there you go, team. Referral ninja, Tristen Smith. And how generous was he in the information he shared? There's been a consistent theme in this podcast over the past few episodes. Effective marketing can be boiled down to one word: simplicity. Keep things simple and they shall come. When you think about it, recently we've had the oh crap dog poop bag manufacturer, Reid, devote a whole episode to simple marketing. SEO expert Harry Sanders shared some super simple ways to get on page 1 of Google in 2023. And we've just heard some ridiculously simple ways of building your customer base through some dead easy referral marketing tactics. I love it. Love simplicity. Now, regarding Tristen's course, it's not the cheapest referral marketing course going around, and I've not done it personally. However, based on the rigor of his thinking, the runs he's got on the board, and the feeling of trust I get from chatting with him, my recommendation to you would be that you take a serious look at it if you're selling high-ticket items and are currently either leaving money on the table by not working on referrals, or you have worked on referrals but are currently at a bit of a roadblock in terms of next steps. You decide. Go and check out customersalesmultiplier.com/Timbo. And you'll also find a link to that in the show notes for episode 624. All right, let's go and see who's been calling.
Hey, Timbo. Peter Harmer's my name from Beverly Hills Business Machines. I was just listening to somebody who did recycling of beer bottles and they made candles. And I thought I might tell you that we actually refurbish docket printers, ones you see in your fast food, QSRs, and instead of them going to landfill for a third of the price of a new one, they're brought back to brand new. It's like a post-in, post-back type system, and it works really, really well. We've saved thousands of printers from going to landfill, and I encourage anybody to go down the path of green. You don't have to be a raven greenie to know that we don't need to chuck plastics into the ground if we can actually economically fix them. Thanks for what you do. We all appreciate your work on these podcasts. Thanks again.
Oh, Pete, thank you so much, brother, for taking the time to call and for sharing a great tip, really. You don't have to be a raving greenie, says Pete. I wonder what overseas people think of that. Is that just Aussie slang? A raving greenie? I think it is. I love it. And very true, Pete. We can all step a little lighter on this earth for sure. I'm no raving greenie. I don't even know if I'm a greenie. I respect the planet 100%. In terms of impacting climate change, I think as business owners, having that mindset that we just should step a little bit lighter on this earth, don't use that ream of paper. Don't print that if you don't need to. Don't drive to that meeting. Do a Zoom, all that kind of stuff. That's stepping lighter. How much of a raving greenie are you in your business? I'd love to hear from you. Tell me. Maybe you're not at all. That's okay. Don't be shy. Give me a buzz. 0480 015 150 and let me know how much of a greenie you are in your business, or maybe you just want to tell me what marketing's working for you. Either way, love to hear. 0480 015 150. Righto, we are nearly there, team. It's time for you to take action on what you've learned. If you'd like to support the work I do for small business, then please check out my exclusive membership at patreon.com, patreon.com/marketing podcast. Membership starts at $8.50 a month. You can buy me a coffee, can't you? I do love my rice milk frappuccino caramello lattes. They're expensive. Next week, you and I catch up with a couple of chocolate-making brothers. I told you we'd catch up with them last week, but I wanted to get you that referral marketing masterclass. Yeah, these chocolate-making brothers, they've got an incredible story where it starts with discovering a cacao bean that was considered extinct for the past 100 years in a Peruvian forest. Such a good story, and they are characters. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the subscribe button on your favourite podcast app. Even leave me a review. I'd be forever grateful. You'll also find 623 more chats with successful business founders on the app. A big thanks to editor Alex Amster for stitching the marketing GOLD together, and our in-house muso rockstar Lockie Doley for the fantastic music bed. Most importantly, a big thanks to you for tuning in. I love it. I'm so appreciative of your time. May your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.